Welcome to Chicago, S-H-E, not the C-H-I, where we are interviewing women in Chicago. I'm here with Roxanne and a very special guest, the Little Miss. Are you going to introduce yourself or no?
Not yet, but soon, as soon as she's able.
So the Little Miss Sydney. She's 4 months, right?
Yes, 4 months old.
She is the first child on the podcast, so there you go. One little glass ceiling broken, right?
Nice job, Sydney.
I don't really know if that's how glass breaks, but... All right, so we are here with Roxanne. We're here with Sydney. So the purpose of this podcast / YouTube series is you've been to a lot of panels. I've been to a lot of panels. We've spoken on them. And I just feel like they've kind of become exhausted. It's the same question. It's the same thing. To me, it kind of felt like they were interviewing a lot of people that were unapproachable, unattainable. At least the panels that I went to, sometimes it was bigger CEOs or larger corporations. And I also just kind of felt like the questions kind of became the same. So my idea was to interview the people that aren't really being interviewed that are more approachable. So that's the idea behind this podcast. That's kind of what I'm trying to do, is to get people around Chicago that are doing cool things, but interviewing them from a different perspective. So we'll keep this fun. So here with Roxanne, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me.
Always.
My name is Roxanne, and my Instagram handle is Glass of Glam. I moved here to Chicago 2 years ago from DC.
Yeah.
And my life has totally changed since then.
You have a child. Thank you.
I have a child now. But it's been so fun living in Chicago, meeting all these cool people. It's actually interesting how we met, isn't it?
Yeah, it's funny because I was literally just about to cut you off and bring that up, but I'm like, Denise, don't do that. You gotta we met, right? We were at a bedhead event during Lala, and you came up I was with Mindy, and you just came up to us, right, and started talking.
Yeah.
And you were still living in DC at the time.
I was, yeah. We were apartment hunting here in Chicago.
Yeah, and you were like, oh, I might be moving back here, and then you reached out, and then, we went to a beach waiver event together, right after you moved?
Mm-hmm, yeah, we kept in touch until I actually moved here.
Yeah.
And you're like, hey, are you free? I was like, yeah, because I had just moved here. I quit my job, and so it was perfect.
What did you do before this? I know, but not everybody else knows.
Oh,
so.
Of course. Yeah, I'm a licensed and trained attorney, and I'm not doing that anymore now that I have Sydney, but I feel like everybody should have a law degree. Sometimes you just need a law degree even to read your lease and understand it.
Right. And what does your husband do? Because he's in a similar field, right?
That's right. He's an attorney as well, but he does a completely different kind of legal work.
Right. And so what are you doing now? Tell us a little bit about what you're kind of doing now. I know, but again, you got to let everybody else know.
Sure, yeah. Well, once I had Sydney, it was the perfect opportunity to take the leap and just do my blog full-time and be a mom full-time. So I'm raising my daughter and blogging full-time.
Good. And what do you blog about?
I blog about mostly style, beauty, and skincare. I love skincare. Oh, my God. And now a little bit of mom stuff on the side, too.
Right. Sydney's just chilling. She's like, look. She's like, I found my angle. She hasn't moved. She's like, this is my angle. She's just staring at Andrew. She hasn't looked at anybody else. She's not breaking. She's not breaking focus. All right. So since you've been in Chicago long enough, I feel like you are pretty good to answer this question. Okay. So I know you know this because you came to my birthday. For my 29th birthday, right? We did a brunch, which is no surprise because I love a good brunch.
Me too.
So would you consider yourself a brunch person?
I feel like I was a brunch person before Sydney, but
okay,
I do love brunch.
Right, but people to me, a brunch is an all-day thing. I don't really feel like there's a time constraint on brunch. So what is your, favorite brunch food? Because I'm a savory person, but I also I'm down for a little French toast. I'm down for some pancakes.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man. It totally depends on my mood, too, but I'm usually a savory person, and I usually like a vegetarian dish for brunch. I don't want to eat meat in the morning.
Really? I love
So I always get, a veggie egg scramble.
Okay, I feel that, though.
Yeah.
I'll usually do that, and I'll get a side of bacon because I just really like bacon.
Yeah. Well, if the restaurant happens to have really good bacon and I know that, or someone tells me, then I'll get a side of bacon too.
Okay. And you've been here long enough again, so where is a good spot? If you're people are coming to town, because I feel like you have visitors literally every day of the week. But, like, where's a good spot? You're like, you know what? I am going to brunch. This is where I'm going to take people.
I personally love Summer House, Santa Monica. I think it's so great. Like you said, they have a good mix of, like, brunchy, savory, and sweet. I love everything there. They have a really good yogurt bowl with granola, too.
Really? Which you, by coincidence, ate this morning, right?
I did. You're watching my stories, yeah.
No, I knew. But no, I'm
really
just kidding.
Into that.
I was watching her stories. What flavor granola? It was like gingerbread,
It was
right?
gingerbread granola, yeah. It's like vegan, like healthy granola.
Okay. So you had Sydney now, but I know the answer to this. How do you feel about drinks at brunch?
I am totally about the drinks at brunch.
Okay, what kind of drink? A mimosa, some wine?
I'm a mimosa girl, but it has to be like more champagne and like a splash of orange juice.
Right.
Just like a teeny bit.
I was talking, we had somebody on like 2 or 3 times ago. Her name was Megan, and we were talking about this. And when I was at Fashion Week in February, I was at this like e-news studio thing, and this woman was talking. They had mimosas there. Oh, you don't like mimosas? No.
I'm sorry. Do you have something to say?
Oh,
okay.
Thank you. So we were talking about mimosas. Does your hand taste good? She's chilling. She's like, I don't know.
Don't forget that I'm here.
So we were talking about mimosas, right? Andrew, can you smile at her?
Are you all right?
Oh, now she's calm. Now she's like perfectly calm. Are you good, little lady? Can we continue? She's like, you may proceed.
She wanted to chime in about the ratio of a mimosa.
Right. So the reason I brought it up is because we were talking about it, and I was making a mimosa, and she's like, I like my mimosas with a sneeze of orange juice, like a hachu. And like that's my go-to now. Like I tell people at restaurants, and people at restaurants are like, What?
Have you ever heard someone say that they wanted a skosh of something? Such a bro-y thing to say.
Skosh.
I just have like a little skosh of something.
I don't even know if that's a
so
thing.
bro-y. It's like not a thing. But
okay, so good mimosas. Okay, so I know you like to drink, which actually brings me to the next thing that I love to talk about. Brunch is a big thing for me, but also drinking.
Yes.
I'm not going to promote drinking in excess on here because I feel like I'm not really supposed to do that, but I do like to talk about drinks. So I'm going to run you through a few scenarios. I want you to tell me like what your go-to drink is.
Okay.
So like you're going out for a night with the girls. What are you drinking?
I love margaritas.
Ooh, a margarita.
I like spicy margaritas too. And
Okay.
tequila doesn't bother me like it bothers other people. I like it.
Oh, I love tequila.
So good.
Tequila's kind of one of my go-tos for all of these scenarios. So the next one, which, by the way, is going to be a little hard for you to answer since you're married. So we'll take a slight spin on this. So everyone before you and the person before you, Jay, has all been single. So this question kind of pertained a little differently. So it was like a date night thing. But let's say you're going on a date night, and it could be with Dan, right? What are you... Oh, no date nights with Dan? You're like, Ma, I got to be there too?
Yeah, we haven't had a date night in a while. Thanks, Sydney.
What are you drinking? You're going out with Dan, you're like, hey, we're having a cool date night. Like, what are you drinking? Because obviously you're not around dating, so...
I know. I mean, we usually get like a bottle of wine. I like wine with dinner. That's my favorite on date night. I know that's like super boring, but...
No.
I'm such a wino.
Okay. A good wine?
Yeah.
Yeah, see, the next question, which you're not going to be able to answer, is like, what if the date's going bad, but you're with Dan, so if it's going bad, you're
drink more wine. Right?
Right.
I feel like everyone probably said that.
What about, like, a work event? You're, like, at work, so let's say, like, a blogging event or something. What are you drinking if you have the option?
Usually white wine, just in case, like, some oaf, like, comes over and, like, knocks you over, then you're not, like, spilling some drink all over you.
Annoying
Something
blogger
liquid.
With her phone
something
that's
clear
like...
liquid. Exactly. Or people, like, at events, they love to point, like, and poke you in the eye, you know, like, where's the bathroom? It's over there. Like, okay, can you, like, not point? So I always point with my thumb, actually, now, because... I don't want to get, like, poked in the eye.
Really?
I don't want to poke someone in the eye, so it's, like, easier to, like, point with your thumb.
Interesting.
Just a party tip. But yeah, I usually drink white wine.
Guys, point with your thumb.
Yeah. Always.
All right, and what about when you are feeling like a boss? You're like, I'm coming out the house, I look good, my skin looks good, my makeup looks good. What are you drinking? You're like, I am out on the town tonight. I mean, I know you guys, Cindy, but I know you had those moments.
Totally. I love champagne. That's like, that's the best. I know it's like in the same vein as like mimosas and wine, but keep it consistent.
No, but it's still like slightly different, right?
Yeah.
So you're like a lighter liquor, like
I am,
lighter
I'm
colored
such
liquor.
a lightweight too that like, especially after being pregnant and not drinking for 9 months, like I just like to pace myself, and champagne like totally lets me do that.
She's like, no, I don't like champagne.
Yes, you will someday. A glass of mom.
You've got like, what, 20 years and 7 months? 8 months?
I know,
I'm sorry.
We have to wait so long. Oh.
She was like, I'm not. So speaking of being a boss, right? Because obviously I do fashion, you do fashion, and this is actually something that's really important to me and something that I like to ask, which I actually feel like doesn't get asked enough. What is your like boss bitch outfit? Like, you are walking out the house, like what makes you feel really good? You're like, I want to wear this because I know I'm going to feel like a badass when I walk out of the house.
This is funny because I wore the same outfit the last 2 times I've seen you, and it's always like jeans and a blazer. I just love blazers.
Okay.
They're just tailored. They make you look sleek.
Yeah, because you were wearing that with like a pink blazer, right? That's what you were wearing, this like leopard.
Yeah.
She's got this really cool like leopard cami on. It's hard to see because it's in the way. But
yeah, I love a blazer. I have like so many colors. I'm like Mr. Rogers, but with blazers.
Did you just compare yourself to Mr. Rogers?
Yeah, you know how like, he would go in the closet and pick a cardigan and never pick the pink one? I feel like I was always mad that he never picked the pink cardigan. It was always like the navy blue. But that's a fashion girl in the making for you.
I really feel like you might need to have like an IGTV segment of that where you're just like, it's
a beautiful day in the neighborhood.
You just like open your closet. Here are all my blazers. What color am I feeling today?
Yeah, I like your blazer today. It's
Thanks.
amazing.
Yeah, I'm pretty much like a monochrome. You know, I love color, and it's funny because the last 2 times on this podcast, I've been wearing like a black, and I was like, oh man, today, right? And I like never wear black, so I'm like, today I've got to put on a little bit of color. She's like, no.
Yeah, you got to bring the color.
Yeah, and so I'm like a big monochrome person. Like I'm like, let's do a little bit of monochrome. Like I love like an all red, or like today it's mostly blue, and then I threw in like a pink coat and pink. So color is always for me, but like
later.
Definitely like monochrome. Like a good monochrome is like, I'm like, let's do this. Do you have like a favorite spot for blazers? Like where do you like to go for blazers, or like where's like some of your favorite blazers from?
Yeah, I like J. Crew blazers because they have petites and my arms are short. But I like thrifting. I find the best blazers thrifting.
Really? Where do you like to thrift? Where's like a good spot in the city to go?
I actually like the online thrift shop, ThredUp.
Oh yeah,
you can search by brand, you can search by size, and it's just so much easier.
Shout out ThredUp.
Yeah, shout out ThredUp. I love ThredUp. So I actually find a lot of my favorite blazers there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And where do you feel like, because I mean obviously you like fashion, as you just told us, Mr. Rogers, the closet moment, but where do you like draw some of your inspiration from? Like where do you feel like you pull some ideas from, or even like, because I feel like your fashion, even since I've met you, has kind of been a little bit different, like has kind of grown. So like where do you attribute some of your ideas from? Where do they?
I love following my favorites on Instagram. I always like looking at people's poses and where they are, and I like traveling. I get a lot of inspiration from travel, just what people are wearing there.
Okay. That's really cool.
Because I feel like in the Midwest, people do dress differently than they do on the West Coast versus on the East Coast. It's just so different, which, I mean, I hate to like pigeonhole us here, but we dress like so much for the weather. Like everyone's walking around with a black coat, right? And I'm like, oh, I can't do it. Like I don't even own a black coat.
The Midwest is definitely interesting. Sorry, Kelsey, I'm about to call out your state, but sometimes when you go to like Indiana, Ohio, and even like a little bit south, you go to like Missouri. I don't know. I don't really know like where people draw the South line. But when we're talking about some of those Midwestern states, I feel like there's certain things that people wear that I'm just like, this is tragic.
So tragic. What was that brand with like the horrible leggings?
Oh, LuLaRoe.
LuLaRoe. Oh man,
with those like super printed leggings.
Talk bad on a brand, but man, that needs to be corrected. I can't. That is one thing that black leggings, that is fine. Black coat, nah.
Yeah, I'm not a black coat person either. I like a little bit of color. I do a similar thing. I try to draw my inspiration from like people I see on the street. I'd be like, oh, I really like what she's wearing. Let me like try and put that together in my head, right?
I love street style.
Oh, same.
I like following street style.
I do too. And I like street style even like, especially from like overseas or like watching other people and the way they do it, because I feel like they have some cool pieces that they don't really have here. Or even like ASOS, right? Like ASOS here, and then you see what the people are wearing in the UK, and I'm like, man, they don't have that on the US site. I'm like, where is that?
Same with like H&M. I think they have better stuff overseas.
Oh, they for sure. Same with Zara.
Here they like water it down. So tragic.
I know. So let's talk a little bit about impact. So this is actually where I wanted to take this podcast. Like, I like to start this podcast to make it a little more fun, a little more lighthearted, get you comfortable, which is actually why I've invited people that I know to kind of get myself comfortable too, right? Because I have to get acclimated to make sure that like I'm doing a good job, right? But why I like to come on this podcast and why I like to bring on different people and people doing different things is because I like to talk a lot about impact. And it's kind of been interesting with the first 5 people and talking about how they feel like they're making an impact on the world. But how do you feel like you're making an impact? You know, and it's been across the board. Like, you know, Lindsay, she talked about how she's really tall and she's kind of inspiring tall women to make an impact. And then my friend Alana talked about how she's impacting girls by taking them to dance classes and like putting them into the world of dance. So it's kind of been across the board. So how do you... You know, besides having Sydney, how do you feel like you're making an impact on this world?
Quite simply, I'm not doing anything like huge. You know, I'm not like starting my own nonprofit or anything like that. But I just really like try to be nice to people. Like, I just want to raise a nice person and I want to be nice. And some people are just so mean, like with the bullying on social media and just, you know, flaking on people all the time. It's just annoying. Like, so I try to be a good person and a nice person as an example. I don't know if it really works.
I do. I think it does. I think it shows across your stories. I mean, when you're on your stories and you're talking about it. But it's funny because the reason I asked some of these questions prior and the way we kind of took this dialogue and the way we scripted it was like the impact. When you actually start to think about the way people answered the other questions and then they answered the impact question, it actually kind of points out like, oh, the places you chose and the drinks you chose also kind of influence like that impact that you're making. Those questions kind of align, right? Okay. So when we talk about like you being nice and like the way you are with people, we take a place like Summer House, right?
Sure.
And it's like very nice and it's very quaint and it's very like aesthetically pleasing, which is exactly how you are, right? And sweet. So it's really been fun to kind of see the way people answer those first questions and then go back to that impact part and see like, oh, that's really cool because those things align. Okay. And I think it's been fun to like ask these questions and make it lighthearted, but to also say like it's very telling of your personality, right?
That makes sense. Yeah, I guess my answers to all those questions like weren't really aggressive. And I like also want to clarify, not like fake nice. Like I'm not gonna be nice if I don't feel like it. But
you're definitely not.
I try to like keep it real, and that's
right.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important. Is, you know, I think you touched upon this bullying part, right? Because you've been blogging how long?
4 years.
Yeah, and I'm just a little bit shy of 5, just a little over 5. But I think we as women, like, we're really hard on ourselves, but I think we're really hard on each other. I think especially in this blogging community, it's tough to be nice sometimes, and I don't really know a better way to say that, but it can sometimes be tough because there's so much competition and there's so many women, and then you go to these events and, like, this girl has a fucking Dior bag and you're sitting there with your bag from Target and you're like, whew, need to level up. And it's like humbling yourself, right?
Sure.
So,
So much. It's so easy to get jealous. Like, oh, how come I didn't get this campaign? And why did she get this and that? Instead of just being happy for someone for working hard and getting something.
Right. And I feel like it's really hard to get to that place where you can just genuinely be nice and be happy for somebody. So I'm really happy that that's the impact you talked about, because I think that's something really important that we don't really talk about. Because I think all of these small impacts, people think like, oh, I'm not making an impact by doing that.
Sure.
But they really are.
I think you're right. Yeah, it's like the little things sometimes that really make such a difference.
Yeah. So you talked a little bit about how now you're blogging full time. You're obviously a stay-at-home mom with, she's just like knocked out. She's like, this conversation's boring me. I'm done. So tell us a little bit about what a day looks like for you. Like a slower day. Like you don't have too much to do. What does a day look like for you?
Well, I'm always on borrowed time now, as you can see. I usually try to beat her awake, but I wake up around 6 or 6:30.
Okay.
Then she wakes up at like 7:30. I'm breastfeeding, so that's like a full-time job as it is too, so I kind of have like 3 jobs now, right? But, feed, play. My brain's like turning to mush because I'm reading all these books like, oh, the monkey, ooh, 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 like,
Right.
Then I have to switch modes. I put her down for a nap, switch modes, answer emails, maybe hop on some calls. Sometimes I take her to a meeting.
And that's a slower day for you.
Mm-hmm.
What does a longer day look like for you? Like
day?
If you have like a longer or busier day, like what does that look like for you?
Man.
Does it like throw in some events too, or like?
Exactly. So like an event in the evening or a shoot with my photographer, Michelle. What's up, Michelle?
Right. She's great.
Yeah, she's amazing. Shoot days are crazy because trying to like juggle everything, and usually something slides, like the emails. It's always like the last thing, right?
Yeah, it's funny because I was in the car with Kelsey and Alina, and sorry for everyone, any PR person that might watch this, but I do not RSVP to events. And like, thankfully, PR people know that I don't RSVP. Yeah. So when I show up, they're like, "Hey, Denise," but I am like,
we knew you'd be here.
I am so bad at RSVPing, and so like it's to the point where like poor Elise, you know Elise, right? Like she works for a PR company. She literally the one day DM me and she's like, Denise, I know you saw my email, but I need a response from you. So I understand that. So how do you feel like you keep yourself grounded through all of this? Like because I think we as women, and the reason I wanted to talk and bring on women specifically, is we as women have our hands in so many different things at one time, right? Like you're breastfeeding, you've got a baby, you're answering emails, you're like, she's sitting there chilling, she's not crying, you're like, let me answer the 2 or 3 of those emails while she's still calm. And then you're doing photo shoots, and you're going on the L to Starbucks, and you're meeting up with somebody, and you're taking her along with you. So how do you feel like you keep yourself sane? How do you feel like you keep yourself like just like normal, so to speak, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's all about having a support system, right? And having really good women in your life that you can call up, you can text, like, oh my God, what do I do? I need help, or you just need a pep talk to get out the door. As well as, there are really good men out there too. Like my husband is one of them, my dad, my brother, just good people that are willing to pitch in when you ask. That's all it takes.
So a good support system. Yeah. I like that. Because other people have been like meditation. It's funny, the answers that everybody gives me. Like Jay was on here 2 days ago, and hers was just like taking time for yourself. She's like, I ride down to the beach in the morning, or,
nice.
Not now because it's literally like 40 degrees. But like during the summer, she goes down to the beach. But in the morning, she cooks herself. She was saying like cheesy grits every single morning, and
that's so nice.
So I think it's interesting to find like what keeps people grounded and like what keeps people sane.
Yeah.
But would you say that during those times, like let's talk about like those long and short days that you have, do you feel like it's okay sometimes to not be fully sane? Does that make sense? Like not be fully like 100% every single day. Do you think it's okay to like have those moments where you're like,
yeah, I mean, of course I'm going to say yes, but I'm not perfect, and I always want to be grounded and sane. Otherwise, I don't really feel balanced. I don't feel good because I'm kind of like, we're kind of the same in that way. Like I want to be like put together and everything, and then I don't feel like myself otherwise. But yeah, of course it's fine to have those days.
Yeah, and that's important. Is I just want to give people the reminder, like we can all be grounded and we can all be sane, and then we can be like me, who goes to Target in the same like sweatsuit 3 days in a row with my hair like
we've all done it.
Right. And the problem is like my hair is not very long, so I can't put it in like a full ponytail. So I have to either put it like really low, or when I put it like too high, I've got like the stuff coming on, and then I'm at Target and I'm sure people are like,
girl, you need a hat. You need like a cute beanie.
Yeah, but then if I put on a hat, like I end up looking like
you're gonna rob the place, right?
Like I just had like chemo or something. Like there's no like, I look like a boy because I like have such a round face. So it's like, oh, my hair is gone.
I don't believe you. You should try it. You can pull anything off.
No, trust me. Everybody has limits. Beanies are definitely one for me. Like, especially with my hair being this short, it's like, where do I put like, do I like leave some hair out? Do I just tuck it all in? Awesome. So we are pretty much done. Oh. But the one thing I did want to ask you is there anything else, if there's somebody watching this and they're like, you know what, I already follow Roxanne, I already know her, or maybe I'm like, maybe they're inspired by something you did or inspired by your life, what's like one piece of advice that you'd want to leave people with? Or even like one thing that you're like, this is what I've done. It can be anything, but like what's one thing that you want to leave this show with and be like, this is what I want to tell you before I go?
Sure. Well, if there's something that you're trying to start or that you really want to do and you've been putting it off forever, you maybe want to try having a baby, you want to start a blog, you want to start your business, just do it. Like start early and ugly. It's going to be ugly in the beginning. You can scroll back on my Instagram and see my early posts. They were really bad. I've not deleted any of them because I feel like it's like a time capsule of how far I've come. So just take the leap and do it, and don't wait. Don't be like, I'm going to have a launch party, da-da-da. Like, do it now. I'm telling you, you will not regret it.
Good. So, do it now.
Do it early and ugly. Get it done.
Definitely the ugly part. Trust me, those Target runs are... Thank you so much, Roxanne.
Thank you to
the beautiful little Miss Sydney, who was so bored of this conversation that she slept. But that's okay. She was like, I'm going to pass out during the boring part. Oh, I'm going to come back. Thank you so much for being on. Thank you for coming on Chicago, and we truly appreciate you.
Thanks for having us.